this is how you come down. Man, it's been a while since I was here last. Quad broken down basically for the whole winter, and I can't get down here without the quad. I could, but it's just a little bit too time consuming. But anyway, I went through the camera in the river, upriver for a little bit. I'll put that video on the Howtohunt channel again to see how I do it and what I recorded. I don't even know what's on the camera there yet. Hopefully there's something cool to look at. What else? I think it's time I say something that I'm gonna have to put it on the Rumble and the what's it called, the Locals channel. I'll probably do that today, but I want you guys to picture something. Just picture this. All right, I got that much needed rant over with. I shouldn't say over with. Excuse me. I shouldn't say over with, but it needed to be said. You can watch that on the Rumble or the Locals channel. Now, let's get some voices heard, some important voices heard. And this other topic that seems to be very popular in the real world, which is all around me right now and behind me. It's been a little challenging at times to get my notes loaded up again. I got this phone back. It went through a couple programs and got it updated and fixed, and it seems to be working. But it wiped out all of the unread emails I had saved on it, so now I have to go through my inbox and try to figure out what was read and what wasn't, because all the emails in my inbox, my email, are marked as read when thousands of them haven't been read. So it's going to be a little frustrating. But either way, I don't quit, and I'm not going to give up. We're going to get it done. Now this is titled 30 Miles West of Mount Shasta, California. I was living in Northern California, west of Mount Shasta, about 30 miles. I've lived there from 2020 to 2021 mining. I was packing gear into the mountains February and March. I smelled something I've never smelled before. Thought nothing of it. It was late evening. The next evening I came across footprints, large, 14 inches. I stopped and started looking around. I found two different sets of prints, 16 inches and about 10 inches. Also looked like fist prints and knees. There was a place roughed over, like someone laid down and crawled. I was smelling the same thing from the night before. I took pictures. I lost them. I had a feeling maybe a bear. A couple days later, I was in a creek bottom with my gear, cleaning tailings. Something grabbed my attention like something's not right. I started moving gear off the shore back far enough it wouldn't wash away. The whole time keeping my ears open up the hill in front of me, looking, but not giving off any sign of something wrong. I walked down about 10 feet and started running. I crawled up the side of the bank about 40 yards, really steep ground. I had my binoculars, Leopold 10 power. I got to the top and jumped into some manzanita. Still have splinters driven into my back. I laid there catching my breath, listening, waiting for my breath to calm down. 10 to 15 minutes, I started hearing rocks rolling down where I was, also from across from me, about 40% to 45% grade. I lifted my binos and started scanning through the trees on the other side, right from left, slowly. My third or fourth pass, there was a burned cedar stump about 6 feet high. I stopped, and on the left side of it, there was a figure kneeling down with his or her hand over its mouth, about 2/3 as tall as the stump. I looked for a couple of minutes. Up behind this large Sasquatch in the low branches, there was a similar figure that came down from above, bouncing from the branch it was still holding. I noticed that their hair was about the same color, light gray-green. The larger one was looking right at me. It must have made a sound because the little one froze after it made a movement slightly. I had my quad hidden in the brush. not too far from me. I got up, ran to it, took off, scared the hell out of me. Never felt that way before or since. I was just a kid, like the boogeyman is real. Anyway, I didn't tell anyone, but I kept it to myself. I felt maybe I lost it. A couple days, I went back, grabbed my stuff, went back to camp. I had a visitor from my friend's friend down the road. She knew I've been up in the forest for days at a time. I was fixing dinner. She comes up and started talking to me about Sasquatch, or the gray ones. It's what she said they call them that. At this point, I'm shocked. I've told no one. She described exactly what I witnessed. I told her I seen one. Her eyes got wide and asked if I left them offerings. I did, tobacco. I knew there was something there after seeing the footprints. And that's just who I am. Some might say crazy. Wow. So that's a different, I think that's the first time we had the green shade of the hair mentioned. And that makes something, that makes some sense with what some people are reporting about the hair strands bending light and attaining various colors of the surroundings, right? Pretty unnerving to see that all by yourself as a kid. Thanks for sending that in, man. If you have learned anything else from your people in your community there, make sure you get it into me or somebody and get it public, all right? And speak out loud about it. Don't be scared, okay? Do not be scared. It's titled, B-roll footage you shot. Dear Steve, I want to express my condolences for your loss of Mr. Macaroni. Okay, a lot of these emails are possibly quite old, all right, you guys? I cannot find the words to express my appreciation for all that you have done opening a platform for people who need to talk about their encounters. I have not ever had an encounter, but inside I feel grateful. There is no doubt in my mind that these people are telling the truth. As a retired police officer, we were taught one very important rule. Follow the evidence, including witness testimony. The main reason I wanted to reach out to you and apologize for taking up time from folks who have actually encountered these creatures is a video you showed which included what you called B-roll footage. I watch all your videos and I find them so incredible when I listen to the emails that are sent in. Anyway, this video shows the river, and there is an obvious square-shaped, enormous flat rock to the right of the camera. I was watching this video and I could not believe what I was seeing. There is something large, very hairy, on all fours, creeping around this huge rock that stops immediately when it's in view of your camera you left there. There is even visible snow on top of whatever this thing is. It immediately backs out of camera view. The following portions of the video, which take up no more than 5 minutes, show the camera being bumped, wind-blown, long hair around the camera's field of view, and what I only believe to be an arm and a huge shoulder on the frame for only a second or two. I apologize, I do not know if this has been brought to your attention already. What I can say is keep up the good work. The governments of the United States and Canada can kiss our ass. We will not give in to them, and if someone tries to give me the dreaded vaccination, I'll stab them in the eye with it. LOL. Right on, man. Please let me know either way about the B-roll footage. You're always welcome to share my name. I will always stand and fight for our freedoms, including anyone being harassed by any government agency. They need our support as well. Sincerely, Mitchell A. Sorrell, retired police officer. Mitchell, absolutely appreciate you and your honesty and bravery, braveness, my man. Now, the video. I don't know which one that is. I honestly don't. If you're still watching, you could please email me back, tell me the title of the video, or else email me back with a link to the video and check it out, or else some of our sleuths will. Because I have a handful, I have a lot of different various B-roll clips in my videos, so right off the top of my head, I'm like, oh man, you got to narrow that one down for me to find. Sounds creepy, interesting, and not surprising to me. Keep fighting the good fight, man. Keep fighting the good fight, speaking freely and being brave. But make sure you send a link or the name of that video to me, okay? Appreciate you big time. This is titled, In the Beginning. Hello, Steve and Company. This is my first email, sort of a test to see if I do this right. Here's an excerpt from Zechariah Sitchin's The Lost Book of Enki, which Sitchin translated from ancient Sumerian clay tablet texts found in Iraq and the Middle East. The texts tell the story of an unknown planet only recently being considered in mainstream circles as part of our solar system. Nibiru, Nibiru, home world to the Anunnaki race of superior beings that some called gods. Anu was ruler of Nibiru. His two sons, Enki and Enlil, were directors of a mission to Earth to mine gold to transport back to Nibiru, to be crushed and spread through parts of their atmosphere that was blown out in a war between the north part of the planet and the south part. Exploration of Earth for the gold proved successful, and crews of workers began the task mining gold from inside Earth. After much labor at this, the workers grew tired of the task and asked if there was another way to get the work done. There were no humans on Earth at that time, but consideration was given to create a being that could do the work and relieve the Anunnaki workers. The conversation turned to how such a worker could be produced. Enki, who had knowledge of genetic modification and manipulation, proposed a plan to mix the essence of his own genetic makeup with that of a creature known to exist on Earth. In the first page of Tablet 6 is a very telling intro to that plan. It goes like this. Enki was saying to the leaders, by the mark of our essence, to fashion him to create a primitive worker. For this genetic mix, the being that we need, it already exists. Thus, as secret of the Abzu, South Africa, Enki revealed to them. With astonishment, the other leaders heard Enki's words and were fascinated. Enki was saying there are creatures in the Abzu that walk erect on two legs. With four legs they use as arms, with hands they are provided. They live among the animals of the steppe, S-T-E-P-P-E. They know not dressing in garments, they eat plants with their mouths, they drink water from lake and ditch. Their whole body is shaggy with hair. Their head hair is like a lion's. They jostle with gazelles and delight with the teeming creatures in the waters. The leaders listened to Enki's words with amazement. Disbelieving, Enlil said that no creature like that has ever been seen in the Eden, the first settlement in southern Mesopotamia. Sorry, you guys. Ninma, chief medical officer for the project, said eons ago on Nibiru, our predecessors might have been like that. It is a being, not a creature. It must be a thrill to behold, she said. So much more about this and the fashioning of the workforce of humans that led to us. All this long before the Great Flood. The biggest puzzle piece for me was that this being may have been a part of the creation of the other races of people on other worlds at incalculably ancient times. The events simply repeated here on Earth, and here we are. All in all, this is the most logical explanation I've found. Keep searching, everyone. Alright, well, there's a mouthful. There's something for a bunch of sleuths to look into, and I know we've had that theme emailed many times before as well. Now, here's my encounter to share from Arkansas in 1970, and my illustration of what a friend and I saw one night. I am Roger. Childhood friend Terry and I went out for an afternoon of conversation, a little wine and smokes in the hood of his friend Bob's car. It was summer break from college and a beautiful day for hanging out. We parked the rear outside the Hot Springs Boys Club, overlooking the expanse of the Hot Springs National Forest to the east. A few hours went by as the sun slowly sank behind us, and soon it was dark. We decided to go back, and as we pulled out onto the circled drive behind the building, I asked Bob to let me out for a pit stop. Terry agreed. We went over to the back wall and relieved our bladders. The back of the building faced across the 12 to 15-foot driveway, and the edge of the driveway was a 3 to 4 foot wide dirt path about a 45-degree angle, leading down to 3 baseball fields used for city league ball teams. When we were done at the wall, we turned around and saw what I've attached with this email. When I first saw it, I froze, and the thing, which looked as if it was floating up the hill from below, stopped motionless. Terry saw it too and froze. The form we saw was either white or very light gray, and the guard light above was the old type that bathed everything in lavender color. There were no features about the thing, no eyes, nose, mouth, or ears, smooth as plaster, and I might add, no hair. Although Bigfoot was the farthest thing from my mind at the moment. It was 1970 and no one was talking about that then. After looking at this thing for no more than 5 long seconds, we both said, "Go!" and bolted for the car, urging Bob to go as well. He never saw anything, facing away from us, waiting for us to come back to the car. The tree that left was a pine sapling with the lower branches at about 5 feet off the ground. I guess the thing was about 11 feet or so, as we only saw the upper half of it, and about 5 foot wide at the shoulders. I know it looks like a 6th grader could draw that, but I can't tell you how hard it was using only that 5-second snapshot in my brain to finally think I got it right. At its waist level, at driveway level, the dirt path I tried to depict is wide enough for 2 people to walk down comfortably. I forgot about this encounter for quite some time, but slowly I remembered a little more. As we left the boys' club drive to go home, we drove into a thick fog almost immediately. That freaked us all out. That's unusual for a warm summer evening. I don't remember getting back to my car. I don't remember going home the 20 miles or so back out of town to where I lived. Interesting that some of your contributors mentioned fog or mist appearing around sightings. Was it a Bigfoot? The size and shape are right, but was that a suit or what the hell? About 3 years later, in state adjacent Pascagoula, Mississippi, 2 fishermen were abducted by things that had landed some aircraft on the lake in front of them, and several beings walked across the water to where the 2 were on the bank. Those had suits. That's about all I have for now. I remember one of your writers had an Arkansas encounter and expressed his hopes the others would share their natural state experiences too. Well, here you go. Thanks for sharing, Steve, and be well. That's a creepy sight for anybody to see in the woods. And my question that comes to mind right away is the people that went missing. Who saw that go down? Obviously there was witnesses, right? And I'm sure there should be, I'd imagine, some kind of report somewhere that all you sleuths out there could find out about those 2 men being taken. That's interesting. That's something that needs to be discussed out loud, if it's factual, right? I wasn't there. Take from what you will or leave it, but I would be interested in finding out more about those 2 guys being taken. Especially me, right, for what I do daily. So that'd be really good if you get back to us more details about that. And hopefully, if you can, I don't know how this sighting affected your friend, but you may want to share this video with him so he knows it's okay to talk about it. You know what I mean? It's okay to talk about it here with tens of thousands of people and growing. Thank God. Thank God. Thanks for sending that in, man. That's a creepy one. Creepy experience. And I'm sure there's a lot more people here than just me that want to hear about how what went down with those 2 people being taken. This is titled 10 Feet from a 10-Footer. Marked as red. Another side note. Oh, this is must be 2. Another side note, the emotion was uncontrollable, part because of the often reported sense of dread. It was almost like I could feel this being's frustrations. I had no control over my emotions. I'm an airborne infantry vet, and while very self-aware and in tune with my emotions, I don't shake easily or cry. Is this creature a branch of us, physically? Or could it be more psychological or spiritual? Why are they here? I don't know, but I do know for a fact that they are fed up with how we operate as a species. Probably just as fed up as people like us, this community. Government? What's that? Laws? The creatures only understand what we used to survive. Not only that, but the government is supposed to be a transparent agency chosen and controlled by free private citizens. Instead, their lives are shrouded in secrecy, while our private actions and thoughts are easier for them to access than it is for an average man to obtain free drinking water. They steal and sell back at a price. Perhaps these creatures are here to set boundaries for us and the colossal F-ups we've caused. The only other question would be, how did they get here? How did we get here? And here's the original email below that, so I guess I got the second email and tacked it on the top. Steve, please no names. As mere openness about having experience has already done a number on my credibility, and I can't wait the few more months where opinions won't matter anymore to get this off my chest. I already feel emotional getting to type this out for the first time. Thank you for that. Whether you read it or not, this feels helpful. Important note, I spent most of my life outdoors and had many black bear encounters, none of which left me in tears or even pushed me out of the wood. Anyway, I live in West Virginia and spent a lot of time in Appalachia, camping, hunting, fishing, practicing bushcraft, more recently trapping. This story takes place on Chestnut Ridge in Pennsylvania, where after a simple search you will find might be the big man capital aside from Washington State. The stories are plenty and go way back, and I advise you and the community to research it. I was fishing a small trout stream in the mountains on a windy fall day. The wind was just enough to dull the auditory senses, but not enough to keep me from swinging some wet flies downstream to some barely touched wild trout. This is an important detail to the story, as the wind was blowing right at me. Just enough to also dull anything downstream and upwind's ability to hear or smell me coming. No better recipe for sneaking up on critters. I'm wading downstream in the water at this point. To my right is a traversable woodland of tall pines and spruce, carpeted with countless tan needles. The kind of woods where the farther into them you stare, the more it looks like a painting than real life. To my left, a dense rhododendron thicket hugs the bank with fewer large trees. The funny part is, I always stare into the woods to the right and imagine something looking back at me. Sometimes waiting to catch a glimpse of a black bear cruising by, or even the big guy bebopping behind a tree. Yeah, I do that all the time, including right now. But in the words of nature, nope. 10 feet to my left, and inside the thicket, I hear multiple twigs simultaneously shift and break. I remember time slowing down as I shifted my attention from the cast landing to the source of the conundrum. Up stands the 10-foot creature, also facing downstream. I fixated on its back right shoulder, as that's what I had unobstructed view of. Jet black hair, roughly 3 inches long and sparse enough to see detailed muscle structure. Vivid, I remember the light shining off it as I noticed the hair on its back seemed to stand almost straight out. Did I just spook this thing? I also remember my brain scrambling to find an explanation. Did I just see a 10-foot tall cow sidestep through the brush? It awkwardly crashed to its 12 o'clock paralleling the creek. I could feel its steps, and seriously, its shoulders were as wide as a cow is long. I saw the matted hair of its legs and glutes as it moved away. It only moved 30 feet or so away before it went completely still and silent, stopping at the only large tree around on that side of the stream. I'm frozen in fear. Where's my body armor? Where's my 50 cal? Where's my radio for air support? My phone camera was the last thing I wanted in my hand at that moment as I stood completely still in all my fishing gear that still today seems irrelevant after being this close to that much power. I could make out its massive outline, obstructed by the large tree and thicket between us. Finally, I realized it was my move. After a brief, what the F, I carefully waded backwards and toward the other side of the creek where sprinting is possible, all the while trying to watch it. It seemed to grow agitated and started moving around sporadically. Maybe 10 seconds has passed since point of contact. As soon as my feet made it to the opposite bank, I turned my back to it and hauled all the ass. When I tell you this thing threw a fit, as I was sprinting towards salvation, short screams, whoops, branches breaking, general thrashing, and all I could do was scream, shuddered, "Haze!" as I ran and tears started to uncontrollably pour from my eyes. Luckily, his ruckus was fading with every few seconds. It wasn't following me, thank God in the heavens. I haven't been back to that spot since, but will update you when I do. I can almost guarantee a mess of branches. Thank you and stay safe, my friends. There you go. There's another one. Another member of the club. Club of no return. How many's that now? How many's that? People who have come here, right? To share. How many people have come here and shared for the first time? I think it's safe to say that of all the things we can witness and experience in the outdoors here, the real world, I think it's safe to say, including war, I think it's safe to say that a face-to-face encounter with one of these beings seems to trump everything when it comes to the overwhelming sensation experience, right? The overwhelming senses. Your senses being overwhelmed. Sorry, I'm babbling. What's going on? What's really going on? Isn't it driving you a little nuts by now? Many of you? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that probably come here just for the entertainment value. Come on, man, let's think about it. What the hell's going on? What's going on in our society today? What's going on in the real world? What's going on in this world that's been kept from us? What the hell's going on? This lifetime is such a crazy ride. And like I said before, sometimes I wonder, sometimes I wonder, is it best to just be going through this lifetime numb and dumb and do what you're told and work and pay your taxes and eat and die? Is it? I don't know. I often ask myself, why am I born with this curiosity? I'm sure a bunch of you are too. How did this happen? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be aware about this crazy shit show, but it's been stuffed in my face without asking, and it's been stuffed in the face of many people I care about, and it needs to be exposed and talked loudly and honestly about, and people need to be informed. So I guess that's maybe possibly why I'm here, right? Maybe that's why this happened to me. I don't know, but I'm going with it. I got no choice. I can't stop myself. I can't stop myself from seeking the truth and sharing it. And neither can many, many, many of you. Thank God. Anyway, it's enough for today. It's good to be back out in the real world instead of being cooped up in that box. Although I have to go back there now and start sanding the drywall because apparently the mural is here for the one wall, and I really need to get in contact with a lot of people out there that I want to talk with me in front of you. So, please, please, please keep emailing the truth. Don't be scared. And keep emailing the truth and speaking out loud about it, right? Do not be suppressed, covered up. Win. Be louder, talk longer, and do not give in to people who want you silenced. Don't do it. Alright? Be back shortly. You guys see anything behind me while I've been sitting here? Let's do a little zoom in scan for the hell of it. I'll step up in this rock. It's gonna be bears out any day now.